me, you take this, Drea. This is indeed in your backyard, Vancouver, a beautiful city, much like San Francisco, perhaps one of the most beautiful and unique cities in the United States. The hills, the bay, the cable cars, but now a city fraught with peril. And again, on the West Coast in Canada, your city, Vancouver, it's the drug version of Lollapalooza. What in blue hell is going on, Drea?
Well, we're sharing a tweet from Aaron Gunn, who's a democratarian. Is that one? I can't speak today. Oh, documentarian. Thank you very much. Journalist who doesn't know her words. Documentarian. He's also a political commentator, and he's well known for shedding light on this issue with what's happening in Vancouver. He did a documentary called Vancouver's Dying. And this is him, I guess, standing in Vancouver saying, "Welcome to Vancouver, the only city in North America currently serving cocaine, crack, heroin, crystal meth in broad daylight with no consequences from the city or police." And that is true. I mean, this is the hub of where you can see stuff like this. So he's got a sign here where it's all for sale there. Look at that. Crack cocaine, $20, 1.5 points. I mean, you can have kids walking right by there who have never even heard, what's a point? And now they're going to be Googling it and stuff like that. And you've got MDMA down at the bottom. And what is that? There's a lot of people who think everything that's happening with the legalization of drugs here is just the greatest thing. But how does that help people in addiction? I've worked for years with people in addiction. That's not going to help them at all. The reasons why they're addicted are not because they could not access drugs. Yes, some of the drugs that they're accessing are unclean, but just because they're going to get clean drugs over here isn't going to stop them from getting unclean drugs over there. So it's very frustrating, and I'm glad he's shedding light on it.
100%, Drea. It is really throwing gasoline on a fire. If you think you're helping addicts by accommodating them, by enabling them, no, you're not. You're sending them down a horrible spiral, perhaps even to their death. Drea, in March, Alberta Premier Danielle Smith was in Toronto to receive an award. I went to that dinner, and it was amazing. She talked about how Alberta is doing the polar opposite approach of British Columbia, that they've developed.
Surprise.
Oh, yes. Isn't it something? But the program is basically police officers going to drug addicts on the street and saying, listen, you've got two options. We can arrest you and put you behind bars for what you're doing, or we can put you into a program. And it was an amazing program. Premier Smith talked about it. It's like a dormitory where these people get clean, where they're taught the basics, how to shop. They are responsible for the cleanliness of the dormitories, and a community is established where these people, addicts to hardcore drugs, actually get off the habit, get clean, sober up, and become, members of society again, not dependent on that.
That's what it's about.
Yeah. So I ask you, which system, folks, would you rather have? We enable the drug addicts to have no future, or we help clean them up so that they do have a future? And I mean, it's really odd, isn't it, Drea? Why doesn't this program extend to alcoholics? I mean, what if you lost your driver's license because you had a DWI conviction? Why don't we, I don't know, find out who these people are and bring them bottles of scotch and bourbon to their house so they don't have to drive, so we don't put the public at risk, because obviously they can't get by the day without having a couple of hits. This is what I don't understand, why the very worst addictive substances are being accommodated by the state.
And so this one is, so BC is, I guess, decriminalizing and allowing the sale of some drugs. But this one in particular is a little bit unique, what we're seeing this sign here. So it's a Vancouver man who has opened the only known brick and mortar store in Canada. And I'm going close, and the US that sells these things, these drugs. And so he has opened this drugstore on Wednesday in Vancouver's downtown east side, which, if you're unfamiliar with that area, is not a pretty sight. A neighborhood that's long been considered ground zero for Canada's overdose epidemic. Very true. And so I want to scroll down probably. So here we go. So he opened the store because he wants to give people drugs that have been tested and are free from the bad stuff in them, including fentanyl. Although fentanyl, which is driving record overdoses in Canada and the US, is the primary street. So if I recall with this person, he's sort of doing this on his own, going a little bit over and above. And so it will be interesting to see how this is handled by the government. Because I also wonder about money, right? Who's benefiting from being able to sell these drugs, right? If you follow the money.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, despicable.
That's a clip from something we call Rebel News Daily. It's our daily live stream hosted by my friend David Menzies, but the show also includes a rotating cast of hosts and special guests, including me. It's a great way for us to talk about the news of the day as the news is happening in an unscripted fashion, and it's an awesome way for you to interact with us as well. We stream every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Mountain, wherever you find Rebel News. See you there.